As I say a tender yes to everything that comes to me, my heart is open, I am free. I open to all that is, it brings me to my knees. I surrender, I am peace. As I say a tender yes to everything that comes to me, my heart is open, I am free. I open to all that is, it brings me to my knees. I surrender, I am free. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening, I am opening, I am opening, I am opening, I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening, I am opening, I am opening, I am opening. Take it, Randall. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening, I am opening, I am opening, I am opening.
And I'd like to invite you to join me in prayer right now. There is only one life, one beautiful, amazing life, everywhere present, powerful, magnificent, loving, self-giving, the Creator and its creation, becoming more of itself in each moment, and it is all the qualities of God: beauty, peace, power, light, love. In every cell, in every organism, in the known and the unknown, life is unfolding, and good is everywhere present. I am connected to this. It walks me and talks me and laughs me and loves me and knows me. As this is true for me, each one in this sanctuary and well beyond is connected to this source of goodness and light and love. And I claim today that this service, this in-person grand affection for one another is generous and kind and open-hearted. It is love expressing as us in kindness, in self-giving. I am so grateful for this opportunity to be present for the message, for the music, for the connections, and in the truth of this spoken word. And in that gratitude, I lift up this prayer to the one that has already made it so. And together we say, and so it is. I'll keep the mic close to me this time. I would like you to join me in reading today's affirmation from the Prayers of Wisdom and Vision book. I am generous with my thoughts, attention, and action. I keep my spiritual vision of goodness for all foremost in my mind. And so it is.
Good morning, Santa Rosa. It's so wonderful to see you all this morning. Yes, you can clap for that. You guys are awesome. Clap for yourselves. So thank you to our wonderful band for all of your brilliance today. And I'm Reverend Russell Aguirre, and I'm so glad to be your host today. And if you're joining us for the first time, we really want to extend a special welcome to you. We know that it takes a lot of courage to find a new spiritual home, and we hope that this is yours. Also, if you're a live streamer, we love you and thank you for joining us on the live stream as well. We are so glad that you're here, and know that you can always find out what's going on at CSL Santa Rosa on our website, cslsr.org. Soon, we're going to be back to having 2 services, y'all. Yes. So starting August 1st, we're going to have our 9 a.m. and our 11 a.m. service, and we really look forward to seeing you. I mean, come to both services if you want. I mean, come on. You know, it's double the spirituality, right? That's how it works. I'm looking at Edward here. Is that how it works? Yes. Okay, cool. So he agrees. That's how it works. Did you know that we have a number of ways that you can contribute to Center for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa? You can give online at our website. You can send us a check, or there will be baskets at the exits today if you would like to give in person. And just know that as a community-supported organization, we really, truly appreciate your generosity, because that's how we're able to do what we do. Now, at the Center for Spiritual Living Santa Rosa, we are motivated by a vision of a healthy, loving world. It is known as the global vision, and it calls us to imagine a world that works for everyone. We see a world in which every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with one another. A world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness in action. And we do this through practice that shows up as 5 spiritual pillars in our community. The first, which is spiritual study, that expands our understanding through reading, learning, investigation, and honest self-reflection. The second is affirmative prayer, which you heard from our wonderful practitioner here, Tamira, where yes, I know, isn't it great? I know people, I remember the first time I heard prayer the way that we pray here, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So affirmative prayer, where we use the power of our word and consciousness to connect creatively with the divine. We meditate in all of its forms, which increases our awareness and experience of the divine presence. We practice spiritual circulation, which opens us up. It opens up our community to the flow of life through balanced giving, receiving, asking, forgiving, and gratitude. And finally, we practice selfless service, which is a spiritual practice of serving others without any expectation of reward or a specific result. So I know that between the music, the meditation, the prayer, the practices, and Dr. Edwards' wonderful message today, that there's something that is exactly what you're needing today for your spiritual unfoldment. So you are welcome here, and please sit back and enjoy the service.
It's all about allowing peace within. In absolute surrender, so serenity begins. For when the storm subsided and calm becomes the way, it's all about allowing it to stay. It's all about allowing love to flow. It's setting down your burden and just simply letting go. For as you cease the struggle and love pours through your heart, it's all about allowing it to start. Now feel it warm and shining, new with promise, strong, undying love, different from any you have known. And now the seed is sown. It's all about allowing change to show, then living in the moment like it's all you'll ever know. And though it won't be easy, you can truly say you've tried, for it's all about allowing it inside. And now the seed is sown. It's all about allowing love to flow. It's setting down your burden and just simply letting go. For as you cease the struggle and love pours through your heart, it was all about allowing it to start.
Hi, everybody. You know why we pause over here? We have to wait for the sign from the booth. You know, is it okay to go? It's almost like being on live TV. I feel so famous. And is that the sound of a baby in the sanctuary? Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much for bringing your baby with. You know, when I heard that sound, I thought of my grandmother. Of course, because she had this ability to just be centered and allow the world, and there was just the sound of children all around her. And it did not disturb her in the slightest. They always think about me. I have to have incense and bells and peace in order to allow the presence. No, it's the sounds of life that enhance our experience. And I'm so thrilled that you brought your baby with you to the center today. And that is part of the reason why we wear masks, to protect the vulnerable and to create an atmosphere where it is safe to bring our children to the sanctuary. And so I want to begin by saying thank you to our community for observing the mask requirement here at the Center for Spiritual Living. I appreciate you very, very much. I went on my first flight in almost 2 years last week, and it was quite interesting. I had to go to home office in Denver in Colorado, and oh my goodness, the flight attendants, such compassion, because people are grumpy about it. You know, whatever their philosophy or point of view is, this one flight attendant said, look, I just want to get you to your destination. And in order to do that, here are the house rules. And I was just watching the stress on her face. And I just thought to myself, I am so grateful to you who treat our staff and our volunteers with such kindness, and so that we can be here together. And for those of you online who are taking your time to return to the center, I appreciate you. That we all move at our own pace and our own comfort, and we will make this work. We will get through it together, and we are indeed doing that. So thank you for that. And if you've got questions about it, we have our virtual social hall this afternoon. Reverend Russ will remind you about that. It's 1 p.m. on Zoom, so you can come and talk to us about that. Now, I also want to say before we get to the topic that we have a celebrity in the house today. I know. You might remember her, past president of the board and practitioner emeritus. Kelly Metcalf is here visiting us from out of town, and she's back over there, and I bumped into her on the street, and so now she had to come to service because she saw me over there, so welcome. And I do love to lurk on Facebook and see our community celebrating the passing of loved ones and birthdays. I know Karen Norton had a birthday recently, so congratulations. She turned, that's hers to tell you. And to see so many of you, it's a wonderful thing, so thank you very, very much. Just take a look around you and see all of these people who have been building spiritual community together for, 60-something years in Sonoma County. And think about the people who will come, and the more babies, please, that will come, and more children, and bless our community. Now, our topic this morning is free your mind, and the rest will follow. Now, this topic comes from a set of suggested topics that come from our home office. We call them the global themes. They're suggested themes. And I thought I'd tell you how it works. Each year, a group of people get together, ministers, practitioners, and members, and they call forth the idea of what does next year want to be about. And then they write summary points for the messages, and they create graphics and text and suggested reading, and they distribute it to the centers and study groups, and then those centers who want to use it can. So right now today, people of Centers for Spiritual Living all over, in other countries too, some of them are talking about the same topic. And it's particularly useful for a new minister, say, for example, who doesn't have a staff and 100 volunteers and has to do everything from make the coffee to prepare the sermon, to have a resource. So it's a wonderful thing that is happening. So our topic for many, many people this morning is free your mind, and the rest will follow. Well, goodness, I was thinking about that, free your mind, and I got to thinking about Reverend Russ welcoming the first-time visitors. Do some of you remember at the Luther Burbank Center how we used to ask visitors to stand up and we would give them Oh, I know Stephen Han was very fond of that. And then, as the STEM prices went up, we weren't able to keep up with the visitors, and so we moved to carnations. And that was so lovely. And now we were thinking of bringing it back, but then the pandemic happened. But I thought of that question, are you here for the first time? And if so, please stand up. And I thought, well, everybody should stand up. Because this has never happened before. You have never been the you that you are right now. So if it's your first time, it means this is the time. So freedom is when we free ourselves from identifying with all of the things, anything that distracts us from the reality of this moment where we are showing up fresh and new for the first time. Identifying with things that distract us from the truth of our being. What do you identify with? Well, I remember reading in Zen Buddhism, there's this idea that there are 108 delusions that humankind is prone to identifying with. And they occur in the past, they occur in the present, and they occur in the future, and they have to do with events and identity and body and title and this and that. If you're like me, they take me out of the realization that every moment is fresh and new, and I am here for something magnificent to happen in me right now. It got so quiet. I read the Irish poet John O'Donoghue 2 weeks ago, and I have more for you from his book, Rebel River. He writes, "Let there be an opening into the quiet that lies beneath the chaos, where you find the peace you did not think possible and see what shimmers within the storm." Let there be an opening. Now that relates to our spiritual practices that Reverend Russ was talking about. The spiritual practices where we learn to express our lives new and fresh at the highest possible vibration we are capable of doing at any given moment. Well, that's not how all of us come to the Center for Spiritual Living. I know how I came. I came because of the promise that I would learn how to control my life. I came because I had the hope of manifesting things in my life. Did anybody else come that way? You and me? To acquire some desired outcome because things weren't going well. So now, what if we think about this quote and this idea of freeing our mind, and what if we think about spiritual practice like affirmative prayer as the process of unclogging our mind to do what the poet says, to create an opening, to let there be an opening to the peace that is present beneath the chaos. And we can do that by asking ourselves the question, what wants to happen right now? I talk about this often because it makes such an impression upon me. Whenever we have a class or a meeting, we'll say something like, let's take a moment and enter into the consciousness of prayer. Or we might even say it more practically, let's settle down and center. Whatever it is we say, it's an invitation to let there be an opening. And then you can hear and feel and sense the room shifting, settling down as people stop fidgeting, make themselves available to the meditation of the prayer. And soon enough, there is a tangible quietness, like this one, that was always available, that was always there underneath the activity, the chaos of coming to the class. It was always there. Always. Recently, I had a very stressful day. Have you had any of those? I had one of those days where things were just coming at me from every direction. And nowadays can be the text and Facebook Messenger and email and this and that. And I could feel myself attaching to identifying with these things and competing for my attention in various degrees of urgency and importance. And very soon, my whole body was tense. Anybody else have this? You know the story. Is it your story too? So I thought to myself, well, I've learned at the Center for Spiritual Living about spiritual practice. Why don't I do it? Why don't I do a affirmative prayer? Now I'm telling on myself here because I noticed my first inclination was to do a prayer to get rid of the problem. To fix the world. Let's go back to that what if. What if I used my prayer time to let there be an opening to the peace that is always present beneath the chaos, to the quiet that is always available and there? What if I shifted my attitude and instead of fighting the chaos, rather accept that it is there? And at the same time, notice what else is simultaneously true and available. Spiritual practice. I'm remembering some common misconceptions about spiritual practice. Number one, you must be able to control your mind and your thinking. Good luck. Number two, it takes a lot of time and dedication. Number three, and when you get it right, you'll have an otherworldly, mind-blowing experience and your life will be changed. So let's look at those. You must be able to control your thinking and your mind. Well, in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord Krishna says, well, that's like trying, not the Lord, it was Arjuna who says it, it's like trying to make the wind change its direction. Good luck. So it's more about adopting an attitude of watching, noticing, letting, like the song said, allowing, observing. What is the mind doing? The second one, it takes a lot of time and dedication. Well, actually, I found that the more fierce the instructions are, the less I want to do it. So I started with small bites of time, just moments of breathing, and we'll talk about that in a moment, of noticing the quiet. And the more little moments of noticing I took, the more it became a habit. So that over time, except for that stressful day and all the other ones, over time my inclination became more and more about noticing what is present, what is spiritually present, as I moved further and further away from reaction. How good am I at it? Ask Kevin. We're all on a journey of getting better. Then the last misconception, you will have an otherworldly experience, mind-blowing. Well, actually, I think it's more natural than that. Spiritual practice creates in me what I call a return to my natural state of being. A normal state of being, unreactive, kind, watching. I wrote about it in that book, The Power of Meditation, and I went and looked up what did I say about our natural state of being. In that interior world of silent, nurturing peace is where we encounter ourselves in the form of our undisturbed, innocent self. Oh, that's an affirmation. Myself is undisturbed. My spirit is innocent. even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of chaos and complication, myself, the self of me, big S self, is undisturbed. Reminds me of that hymn that Enya made popular. Remember that? My life goes on in endless song above earth's lamentation. Above the chaos, below the chaos, wherever you are, the chaos is, and quiet, peace is always available. In other words, the book continues to say, there is a frame of mind in which you are balanced, unpressurized, unpressured, not manipulated. And that frame of mind is available primarily, it seems, when you are alone in quietness. I had a chat with a friend of mine. We've been friends for many, many years. He is of the same faith tradition as we are. He attends Centers for Spiritual Living. And he told me on the phone he was so excited to attend his first 1 week silent retreat. And it was taking place at a monastery. And off he went. And when he came back, I asked him, how did it go? And he said it was terrifying. He said he was not allowed to take a phone, a book, a notepad, or anything, not a single thing with him. And he thought, well, I can do this. And he said within the first half hour, his mind was going nuts, like feed me, like the Little Shop of Horrors, Audrey 2, feed me, Seymour, give me something to do. And I said to him, what did you do? He said, I had to sit down and have a chat with my mind. And I had to talk very gently to it, like I was talking to a sibling. I had said, I know this is tough. We can do it. Let's give it our best. I'll be here with you. And I'm listening to him, and I said, and then what happened? And he said, and then something happened. That which was painful and slow and challenging kind of sped up and morphed, and he said, I lost track of time. The world didn't stop. Arguments in my mind still rose up. I still had to brush my teeth. I would sometimes flee to how to flee from here. He said, but the pace and feeling of time shifted, and I noticed that there was something in me beneath all of the conversations of my surface mind that was not exactly cheering me on, but holding me. And I experienced a profound centeredness. Now, I'm not recommending that you go on a week-long silent retreat. We can modify to do what I was saying earlier on. Just take a moment, any moment in the day when you notice stress or chaos, to take a breath and to sink into the quiet that is there below the chaos. And even ask maybe, what is also present here? What wants to happen through me? Again, our prayer time and our practice can be less about making something happen and more about noticing the quiet that lies beneath the surface of everything. Now, you can call that quiet the divine, if you want. We sometimes call it the mind of creation. We call it the presence sometimes. And prayer is what we do to welcome it, by letting there be an opening for it to rise up within us, to guide us in our thoughts, and in our speaking, and in our action. So you see, the spiritual practice is not to reduce us into non-action. It's to introduce action that is rooted in the truth of our being, in the newness of the moment that we are in all the time. Now, our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, in the book The Science of Mind, he wrote the same thing that the Irish poet was saying, but in different words. He said this: the highest realization we can have is a recognition of the omnipresence of Spirit. He's saying the same thing. The everywhere presentness of Spirit. And he goes on to say that this recognition will set greater possibilities in motion and will automatically provide a better concept of life. So that's the "and the rest will follow" part. Free your mind and the rest will follow. Realize the presence. Make a space, a place for the peace, and the rest will follow. There's even a biblical phrase that says the same thing. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and then what happens? I guess we're not Bible readers here. And all else will be added to you. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. And the teacher of the Bible, Jesus of Nazareth, told us where heaven is. It's a state of consciousness, and it's located within. Turn within. Allow an opening for the peace. Realize the presence of the divine, and the rest will follow. So that's my work for this week. I'm going to practice it. Let there be an opening for the quiet that lies beneath the chaos. Let me recognize the presence of the divine and trust it to flow through me and to guide me. And what will I do in those times when I get all stressed out and when I forget? I'm going to do what my friend suggested. I'm going to have a conversation with myself like I'm talking to a beloved sibling, gently and kindly. To lead us into our prayer time, here's an adaptation from something our founder wrote that relates to this. Just like fire warms the body and food strengthens us, like sunshine raises our spirits, so there is an infusion of power when we recognize the divine through our prayer. And it is essential to our well-being because it stimulates us and it lets in a flood of inspiration. So we learn to go within and to speak as though there were a presence there that knows. And we take the time to sense it and feel Spirit and to let it flow through our entire being. So I invite you now to take a breath in with me and to exhale, letting your eyes close as we join in prayer. There is only one life, one mind, one creative force in the universe by whatever name I call it: Spirit, nature, divine mind, and it always responds. I cannot separate myself from this presence, nor can I remove myself from its care. I am one with this eternal loving presence, and I recognize that this is also true for all people and all beings everywhere. So today, I let there be an opening for me to live in full awareness that this mind, this peace, is my source, and that my life is unfolding beautifully. I realize that I am divinely guided to right choices and right actions. Even when challenges appear, I am aware of this presence. Spirit leads me every step of the way. And I don't have to do it all by myself. There is a presence within me, so I relax and I accept and I allow the highest good to flow through me in the form of whatever it is: health, loving relationships, suitable employment, financial abundance, comfort. And I follow and allow. Now, with a grateful heart, I accept that there is no limit in this spiritual universe, and so I allow its limitlessness to move through me to create greater opportunities for connection and expansion. And I'm grateful that it is so. I release this, my word of prayer, into that creative field called mind, and I release it with confidence, understanding that Spirit responds always. That Spirit is the source of my substance. That Spirit is my courage and my comfort. That Spirit is my guide, always present, forever. And so it is. I invite you to take another breath in and to exhale. Pre-pandemic, this would be the moment where we practiced one of the spiritual practices that Reverend Russ mentioned, that of circulation, giving and receiving, and participating in the building of our spiritual community. But as you know, we're not passing the basket. There are other ways for us to sustain and maintain the health of our community. And so I appreciate you for whatever way you choose to support our spiritual community financially, with your volunteering, and most importantly, with your spiritual practice. I invite you to take a moment sometime this week and to breathe in and to think of your spiritual center, the Center for Spiritual Living, Santa Rosa. From that center of peace within, and see its people healthy, vibrant, well, connected. This is possibly the greatest contribution we can make to our community. And while you're at it, perhaps you'll take another deep breath in, and from that center of peace within, think of other spiritual communities. You know, we're just reading on the news now in Press Democrat, Calvary Chapel, The Rock, the pastor, Pastor Ross Reinman, is ill. So we can, from that center, hold a space, let a space be there. Imagine his family and him and that community vibrant, well, healthy, and happy. And then maybe you'll take another breath and think of every place where people gather: mosques, temples, synagogues, neighborhoods, parks, and imagine them healthy, well, vibrant, happy. One of the other ways that we create community is by sharing what's going on in our community. Announcements, yay! Nobody said yay. I know who can stir you up into a yay. Reverend Russ, come and tell us what's going on in the community.
Can we give some love to Dr. Edward, please? And I ask you to do that because I noticed when Dr. Edward, I'm going a little off script here, but that's okay. I noticed when Dr. Edward was talking about what it means to hold the consciousness of community. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to give love when you're in a setting like this? Yeah, so I think about that and like, wow, that's why we come together. That's why it's so cool that we get to come together in person, because it's like that love gets amplified. I know Jesus talked about like where two or more are gathered. Well, we've got many more than two here today. So just think of how much love is just finding its way out through us. It's really cool. So anyway, let me get you more jazzed about announcements here. See? we'll do some announcements here. I know. Come on, live streamers, stay with me. Stay with me. I know you like to jump off at the end. That's fine. So today, Dr. Edward mentioned it, and I'll mention it again here too. We're having our final virtual social hall, and I've had a lot of questions. Well, why is it our last one? And the reason is because, hey, we've got a real social hall out there. Why don't we talk to each other in person? Yeah, so Dr. Edward and I are going to be talking about fun spiritual things. And if you missed our Wednesday Night Live 2 weeks ago, it's another opportunity for you to see us together because we found that it is rather fascinating and interesting when we are doing these things together, where two or more are gathered. Maybe Dr. Edward had a different experience of that. So our community is rather well known for our generosity, not just within our community, but within Santa Rosa as a whole. So we are partnering with the Living Room to gather backpacks filled with school supplies for unsheltered kids. And that's super, super cool. Students from, not the unsheltered part, that part's not, the giving of the backpacks is. So students from kindergarten through college really need these backpacks so that they can get through their day and they can learn and they can find their way in the world. And little brothers and sisters too would really treasure their own little toddler backpack with some art supplies and other fun things for them to do in it. So please stop by the information table in the social hall to learn more about that. And we're so grateful for any generosity that you wish to share with us there. And then in the spiritual practice of visioning, which we covered maybe a little bit in those 5 spiritual pillars that we talked about earlier, we bring the question to spirit, like what is it that we want in our life? And how does spirit think that our life should be showing up? And so every Monday from 12:15 to 1 p.m., we have a circle that gathers to attend to Spirit's highest vision and whatever might be arising out of that, that inner quiet that Dr. Edward was talking about. So all are welcome to join, and we are holding that on Zoom. Check out our website for the details on that. And then you are invited to receive confidential personal prayer today. At 10 a.m. and 12 noon, we have our practitioners available for this free spiritual tune-up. Just go to the yellow banner called New Sunday Links on our website and click through that link to personal prayer, and there you will find the connection information so that you can get prayed up, which is awesome. I love getting prayed up, and I know our practitioners love giving prayers too, because I remember when I first started doing it, I'd get in the prayer line, and by the time I was in, I'm like, oh, I feel so good. So check it out. It'll be great. And finally, thank you so much for making this your spiritual home, for being here with us in community today. You are blessed, and we are blessed by your presence. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
When I
Reverend
discovered
Russ. And there's
religious science,
another
I
reason why we
loved
aren't
that
doing the virtual social hall. It's because we're moving to 2 services. And so it's a lot for us to manage. So we are not abandoning our online community. We are maintaining many ways for people to stay. To do everything. I mean, we are practically superhumans, but not. It's time for us to close our service. After the closing song, you know, the doors will open. You're welcome to go into the social hall and sit and chat if you want to. But for now, I invite you to say with me, something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body, and life is in my affairs. I think it, I feel it, and I accept it. Just the way that it is, and just the way that it is not. Thank you, life. Know with me that you are never alone, that Spirit is right where you are, that you have only to look within at any moment to know that you are guided, sustained, and empowered by a presence that expresses itself as you in this world. In deepest gratitude, let us live our lives accordingly so that in everything that we do and say and think, we honor this presence within. And so it is. Enjoy the closing song, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say Amen. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say Amen. Let our joy be, let our joy